Boris Johnson's letter to Emmanuel Macron seems to have backfired badly. Most importantly, because Priti Patel was due to attend a meeting of European nations this weekend about how to solve the migrant crisis, and she's now been booted out of that on account of Boris Johnson's rather crass letter and also his presentation of it. So the essential problem here is that the letter, which was released to the press and which was tweeted out, makes suggestions or goes along with suggestions such as there should be British troops put on French beaches on their territory with authority to do what we think the French troops and police can't do. So actually accepting another nation's forces on your territory with authority there. The other suggestion being we need to open a route to send back some of these migrants and refugees from the UK to France. So a one-way shuttle back. Now, as France pointed out, as Macron pointed out in a speech just before, he says this isn't serious. For the first point, this notion of sending these people back and not knowing on what terms they're going to get sent back is a bit bizarre because these people, these refugees, don't want to stay in France. They're spending massive amount of money and taking huge risks not to stay in France. Their intention is the UK. They're probably in France only because their asylum destination, as they see it, is the UK. So if you think that there are refugees in the UK that should be back in France, fine. But what about refugees that are in France that should be in the UK? Why isn't Boris Johnson and his government opening that discussion of reciprocal assessments and movements of refugees that need to be allocated either to the UK or to France? Because think about it. I mean, there will be a lot of Afghans in there that have links to the UK because of the work they've done with them when the British Army was in Afghanistan. There's going to be refugees from other countries, whether it be Syria, Eritrea, whatever, that have links, family links, business links, or other links to the UK. So that is their destination. And if you don't have a viable and working open route in order to take those legitimate refugees to the UK, and all you're saying is it is France's responsibility to mop up all the refugees so that they don't come to the UK and to keep them out of the UK. And if anything bad happens, then it's France's blame for allowing human trafficking. Then what incentive does France have to help you out on this and just for you take all the refugees that you don't even want to consider, even when those refugees are not happy staying in France? So it's a bit silly. And Macron was saying that the UK is, can come back when they're serious with serious proposals and want to deal with serious people. So his emphasis has been on these proposals that are not at all serious. And the reason he says that there's also the methods of tweeting it out and putting it out to the press. This is not how you develop a narrative and collaboration and cooperation with other countries. This is just how you sell jingoistic lines even to your own audience. So that's gone nowhere and it's backfired, and it's set back process, which does actually put more lives at risk. Now, France is to blame for some of the mess going on here because there are gangs operating on their shores. But the UK has a massive responsibility too, as do all the countries of the Western world, to deal with this crisis collaboratively, as everyone is acknowledging. But our government is deliberately not having conversations on some very, very obvious parts of this. And so that's why the letter caused offence to many people who looked at it in France and elsewhere. And Number 10 have said that they didn't mean the letter to cause offence. That's what is being said out of Number 10. we didn't intend this letter and the tone of it and the way that it was put out there to cause offence. And the sad thing is that I believe that to a degree. And I think the fundamental problem with number 10 is they're not diplomats. They don't have diplomatic skills. Boris Johnson is certainly not a diplomat by character. I mean, when he was foreign secretary, he was putting his foot in it all over the place. Look at the situation with Nazanin in Iran. And what caused that? Boris Johnson just straight up putting his foot in it. He doesn't have the right skills, and he has not surrounded himself with people who have the right skills to actually forge things with other countries in ways that are acceptable to them. Look at our fallout with Ireland as well, and how that's knocked onto a fallout with the US and the bad blood that there is for the UK all over the other countries of the EU as well. So the fundamental failing here is that everything that has brought Boris Johnson to power and the gang around him has been based on posturing to a home audience. And now that it's really critical for lives, in order to get narrative straight, in order to get things worked out, in order for a country to be a responsible country, it actually takes a very different mindset from that which exists in number 10 at the moment. And that's the fundamental problem. They need smarter and more diplomatic people at the core of those communications. And so I don't know if Boris Johnson actually has the wit to see that, or if he's going to go down the same route and keep pushing at it, which is populist at home, but gets us nowhere internationally and ultimately ends up putting more lives at risk.